initiative is an initiative that Visa has launched in 2015. It's not just an event, but it really is a platform that enables us to bring together fintechs, startups, and provide them a platform where they can actually share what their innovative ideas are, what are the different products and solutions that they're going to contribute, to actually look at a couple of things. One, new services, new products that we bring into the financial ecosystem. And the second one is about how do you bring those products in with, a real aim to advance inclusion. So we find this to be a really important initiative because one, in this rapidly changing digital environment that we have, we acknowledge that we need to have bold ideas that push the boundaries. We also recognize that fintechs and startups play a huge role on this. And we also recognize that there is challenge in actually getting the full potential of these solutions. So the Visa Everywhere initiative provides this platform to actually bring those ideas forward.
The main thing is you can call yourself a fintech if you're making an impact in the community, right? And you can do that through an app, you can do it through online, through websites or whichever you choose. But as long as you're making an impact and you're solving a real problem and you're using technology to solve that problem, you can call yourself a fintech. You can also classify mobile networks, right, as fintechs because they solve for a real big pain point, which is financial inclusion. And you get there's about say 300 million, 240 to 300 million people that are unbanked. And what they've solved for is with mobile money. So there's about 700 million mobile wallets across sub-Saharan Africa. And they've solved for that with mobile money. So consumers can now get a basic account on mobile money and make payments. Then we've got players like, I'll give you examples like Ukesh, Ikoka, Little Fish. Now they've looked at growing acceptance online and face-to-face. Okay, so we've partnered with them to bring a new technology which we call tap to phone. Okay, so it turns your mobile device into an acceptance device. So a merchant can download an app and start accepting payments within minutes. So that's some of the companies that we've been working with. And then if you take it into agriculture, okay, there's a few companies we've been working with. So last year's been a Thrive Agric. Okay, so that's one of the fintechs that's solving for farmers. Then last week when I went to Ivory Coast, I met a fintech that's called Finalist. So we partnered with them to solve for cocoa farmers. Okay, and they've solved it in a really unique way using an ID card, which became a Visa credential. And then I met another company called Paradise Gaming. So what they do is they've used gaming to actually educate the youth around and creating financial literacy, but using gaming because it was a passion of the CEO. But then you get the digital banks, like for example, Banktech, which is in Kenya. Then you get Kuda, Carbon, which is in Nigeria as well. And those are like more digital banks.
Having been like a recent graduate and now a startup founder, so I thought like such an event would be really quite a key point for me to like allow myself to get into a network, to talk about my story and my journey and what I want and the possibilities that I can get and work with other individuals that I find in this room.
If you think about markets where cash is slowly disappearing, so maybe developed markets, where the ability to pay and be paid is often seamless, this is probably what we're trying to solve for with the fintechs. In a context where cash has often been the best form of payment. And the question is, how do we create an alternative to it in a way that changes the behavior of the individual? So that's really the exercise. The exercise is about changing behavior using technology. And the better the technology is to understand the way cash moves, it becomes better at replacing it in the movement that is being created. And I think that's what it's about. So when you're thinking about the picture of payments, it's evolving, it's constantly evolving, and it changes with people's habits. So part of the exercise is, okay, do we have a pattern that we can define? And that's what fintechs is trying to solve for. What is a pattern that we can define for this specific community? So some of the examples tonight will be focused, for example, on small, medium businesses. And how do we get small, medium businesses to be able to accept and receive payments? Well, they are mimicking the movement of money that these small, medium enterprises have been using to induce them to change the behavior. But it's two sides. It's the behavior of a small, medium business, but it's also the behavior of a consumer. As a consumer, do I find it convenient to shift my behavior and making that payment using a digital platform? And that digital platform actually thought about the user from a consumer perspective and from a small, medium business. And it's the intersection of both that really makes a difference.
From a South Africa perspective, so let's start maybe with the continent. We've seen, between 2020 and 2021, a real explosion in the amount of fintechs and startups that there are. We've seen this grow fivefold to about 5,200 different fintechs and startups. A lot of them also sit in South Africa. Now, when you're a fintech or a startup, you have really great ideas, but to be able to scale, grow, accelerate, and really fulfill on that business idea, you do need to come into the ecosystem where a company like Visa, where other financial institutions can help you see the actual scale of that product. So when we look at a country like South Africa, where we have, I think, 24-25% unbanked, we have a huge amount of merchants that are not as yet part of the digital ecosystem. We see a huge amount of fintechs coming up in the space to solve for those real problems. Hence, we thought it was a great idea to bring this platform into South Africa.
There's a lens that sees women and is able to build into their technology the nuances that attract women to get into the space and to use some of the technology that's available. Expand for me, what is that? What is that language that needs to be visible when we want to ensure that women are included?
And for me, this is the ever frustrating piece, because I sit as an entrepreneur, I sit as an investor, I sit as a consumer, right? And as consumers, women actually control 80% of the household purchasing power. And what we're seeing is shifting consumer behavior, specifically around women, is that before we were only making decisions around what needs to be in a household. Now we're making decisions on big ticket items like vehicles, technology, laptops, cell phones, and that, which generally used to be something that men did, but now it's completely moving away.
I think one really interesting point that one of my co-panelists made earlier was around the gap in women's funding. And I think that really is a very pressing point. Statistically speaking, even in the tech space, despite being fewer, women tend to make higher quality entrepreneurs in general across the general market. So what I think is it's a great start, but it really just shows that there's more that we can do to really close the gap.
Today we have a good diversity of participants. We've got 5 finalists, which we're going to select from, all having different ideas. The first one we have is a fintech that's looking at installment sales. So looking at installment as a platform, and how do you provide consumers with the ability to buy now and pay later. And as you're aware, globally, buy now, pay later has become very popular, and it's a solution that consumers are looking for in market. So that's the first one. The second one is looking at a digital identity solution. The third fintech that we have is looking at e-commerce as a platform, and really looking at how do you provide this platform for informal traders in the economy. And we know that getting SMEs online, getting them digital, is quite key to including them in the financial ecosystem. So that's the third idea. We have a fourth one, which is an app. And it's really looking at savings and investments, and how do you digitally bring people in to save and invest. We know that savings in South Africa is quite low, and the solution aims to bring people in and encourage them to save. And then the last solution we have is on sustainability. So it really tracks your carbon footprint, where you spend, how you could improve your carbon footprint. So we've got 5 very different solutions, and I'm excited to see which will be the one that will actually walk away with the prize today.
Thrive Agric, that won last year, not only did they win in CEMEA, which is a region that South Africa falls under, they won the global, which means across the entire Visa network, Thrive Agric was the best. So the ingenuity and creativity of young people is definitely being expressed through the fintechs that we are seeing tonight. Of course, there will be one winner, but there's always multiple winners because the ability to participate elevates your game. It provides you with a number of incentives, and you have the visibility that is important to small enterprises. So we can think of fintechs as actually small enterprises that are trying to raise the game. So tonight is going to be interesting to see all these different young people that are coming with solutions to solve real problems. And that's what's really exciting, because they're not inventing anything. They are really trying to find solutions to real problems in our communities.
Whoever wins here today, they'll obviously go into the next round, which is Central Eastern Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and then on to finals in San Francisco. So really hoping for a South African winner.
It's new for me, so for this type of event, I didn't think it was this big. I just thought it was just a pitch, come down, pitch, and then go back. But I'm seeing that it's actually bigger than I thought it was. So it's a bit nerve-wracking.
You mentioned data as one of the key things.
Yes.
What type of services can you provide through that?
My name is Brian, and I run Vuleka Platform. We are a B2B distribution platform for informal businesses that uses their buying and payment history to create profiles or credit profiles, and also then extend credit to them. I had to drop out of med school in my third year because of financial constraints. And the reason why I had to drop out was because there were things that I think I didn't, or my dad didn't understand about in terms of running a business. And that's what actually eventually led to me starting this business, trying to understand how I can help those businesses that are in the townships to actually be more sustainable. So I came in not knowing anything, I'm not gonna lie, and the skills that I got from there was essentially dealing with people and meeting people at their level. So I'm running a business where people are not necessarily literate when it comes to like finances or using technology. So you have to meet them at the level that they are at, where it is the easiest way for them to actually adopt new technologies, and then speak to them at that level and then grow from there. So we currently are operating out of Johannesburg only. We're looking to expand to other parts of the country, but not only the other parts of the country. We're looking at expanding into SADC, more sub-Saharan Africa, because there are similar businesses like ours that are more in the north of Africa and East Africa. I've got about 20 staff, and I think I'll talk in terms of the customers that we've got. We've got just over 7,000 informal businesses on our platform, and that's in only about 3 townships. So we're looking to expand that, and we can 10 or 20x that, given the number of informal businesses that are there. Started the business about 5 years ago in 2017. I did not think that going into the business, this is where I would be, focusing more on fintech and data that's underlying. I thought, when I started the business, I thought it was more of a distribution business, where I'd be taking products and making it convenient for informal businesses to get products. Getting it from here and taking it to them, because I knew a lot of them did not have transport, focusing on the last mile distribution. But I see that was just a symptom of the actual bigger problem. And the problem is the fact that there is no data around how these businesses work. There's no transactional history because they're cash-based, and that's what I'm here to solve. So in 5 years' time, I want these businesses to essentially be sustainable. I want anyone that wants to start an informal business to know that, one, we've got very, very high levels of unemployment. An informal business is the easiest way that people can get out of unemployment. It's got the least barriers of entry, but there needs to be support for that type of business. Right now, a lot of the support is more for the formalized type businesses. You need to be registered, you need to have this in order to get any type of support. But before you do that, you need to have money. And a lot of the people do not have money. So I want to level that playing field, include people financially so that they can also get access to credit products, and they can also grow and like the businesses themselves and be sustainable. This is something that can be taken and can be replicated anywhere on earth.
My name is Camille. I'm originally from France. I've been in South Africa for 9 years. I launched Tweak, which is a climate mitigation app, 6 months ago, and I've been live for 3 months. So we're quite a new business, and we are basically trying to become the vitality for climate change. I used to work for an alternative credit scoring company, where we basically used data that people have, like their phone data, their psychometric test scores, to determine if they were credit worthy. And from there, I kind of got this passion of using data for good. And I realized once I kind of thought of what I could do next, that in the climate mitigation space, we needed something similar. So basically, Tweak rewards people that are living sustainably, and that's often people that have a low income. So it's basically a way to give benefits to people that are, that have a low income for something they're doing, which is living sustainably and basically helping all of us to have a better planet. I started thinking, okay, it would be interesting to know the footprint to know my footprint, because I had no idea what my footprint would be. So I thought, okay, and how do you do this automatically? You do this by collecting transactional data, retail rewards card data, and from there you can have a very good understanding of your footprint, because your footprint is what you consume. So I kind of started this way. That has been done in other countries in Europe. People have done similar things. But then I realized people are not that interested in knowing this information by itself, especially in the South African context, where there's so many other problems to focus on. And so that's where I realized we need to actually reward people to change or to, or for living sustainably. Tweak was started through Next 176, which is the Old Mutual incubator. So we've been funded only through Next 176 at this point. In terms of users, we're getting quite a lot of uptake, which is interesting. So a lot of actually low, middle income users coming on the platform because they want to access rewards. So we're growing by 100 users a day, which is actually quite good for a climate mitigation app, especially in an African country where normally these apps don't do so well or have difficulty acquiring users. We also have 4 contracts with companies that want to help their employees get more awareness around climate change.
I'm Alex Forsyth Thompson. I'm the founder and CEO of Float. Effectively, we're a card-linked installment payment platform. In a previous life, I was in a big corporate in charge with driving innovation, and really the focus was helping people to be better with their money. So I got a real sort of front row seat to see the way people were managing their money, and of course what was going on in the world of fintech. The buy now, pay later trend was something that was starting to explode all around the world. And really the thinking was, how do we bring something that's suitable for the South African context? And that's what the concept of Float really was, which is to help people manage their existing credit more smartly. There's many facets to fintech in South Africa. Of course, a lot of people talk about financial inclusion, which is super important. But I think what a lot of fintechs might be missing is that there's a lot of credit in the system in South Africa. Not all of it's visible, but there is a lot of credit, in particular credit cards. And the South African middle class is generally over indebted, particularly at the moment. Interest rates are high, inflation's high, people are struggling to make ends meet. So what our technology does really is to help people use their credit cards in the smartest way possible by breaking up credit card payments into interest-free installments. That's basically it. The business was founded at the end of 2020. We went into a beta mid-2021, got all the kinks out of the product, and then launched in November 2021. So we've only been live almost 20 months, so it's been quite a short stint so far, but we're in hundreds of merchants across South Africa. It's been very well received, obviously tens of thousands of shoppers as well, and growing exponentially as you'd hope to do as a startup of this stage, but of course not out of the woods yet. You've got to hit hyperscale for a business of this nature. If you're thinking of starting something, start earlier. Probably one thing I'd say to myself is I wish I'd started earlier in my 20s. I suppose there was a lot that I did learn in corporate, but start earlier, be very pragmatic in your approach. I really would say, if you can, bootstrap as long and far as you can. Use your own resources, get developer co-founders, that sort of thing, and really focus on leanness, not building up your cost base as quickly as possible, which a lot of startups do. Stay as lean as you can, as scrappy as you can for as long as you can, and then the fundraising that will come. Generally, that's the irony of it. Generally, when you don't need the money, people are far more willing to give it to you.
My name is Thomas. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Frank. We're an investing app that is trying to help first-time investors start investing, just by keeping it simple and, more importantly, keeping it accessible. I'm an engineer, and obviously finance was not in my blood and not in my family. And very early on I realized that the world of investing doesn't need to be that complicated. So in some ways the origin of Frank is really my reaction against complexity. So Frank started after I had been working at Discovery for a few years and thought that there was really an opportunity in the market to help a lot of people who save but don't invest really do something more impactful with their money. We launched just before COVID, which is sort of maybe a blessing and a curse. Since then, we've tripled our annual revenue over the past few years, so we've had really strong and steady growth. We have about 85,000 users. Most of them are kind of first-time investors. Over the past 3 years, we've returned about 3 million rand in terms of returns on people's savings, which is really the measure for me of success. A lot of these people have never invested before. Their money is sitting under a mattress, in a bank account. So to be able to really return that much value to them is really what drives me and the team as well.
Hi, my name's Lance Vanneroff. I'm one of the co-founders and Chief Strategy Officer of Identify. Identify is one of the leaders in remote biometric facial authentication and automated onboarding. We confirm or authenticate the physical identities of people in a digital world.
This evening, what we're looking at is one that has thought about how do individuals that don't think about the future, because when you talk about saving, it's really about your future, have a way forward. So we want to award this to Frank.
In the third place, we have Tweak.
The second prize goes for Identify.
We really had quite a lot of deliberation on this, and the winner, we feel, is really solving for an ecosystem challenge. It's not only a challenge we see in South Africa, but across the continent. And with that, we're going to award it to Vuleka.
I feel like it was incredible. I felt that the finalists delivered such amazing pitches. I think that it's great to see how the fintech evolution across Africa has progressed, and the fintech solutions that we saw on stage today was really a great mix of consumer, future thinking, enhancing the lives of African people, as well as more pragmatic in terms of looking at those areas across the continent that are either underdeveloped or underserved, have real problems, and through technology and financial services, how they come together to impact those people and essentially solve problems. So I felt that it was innovative. We had a great mix. It is a reflection of the potential, the talent, and the tech that's coming out of both South Africa and our continent overall.
I couldn't believe it. I literally sat for a while if you saw that, because I was like, okay, I was waiting for someone else to go up. But it's amazing. I am excited. I'm surprised. And I think the opportunity that the partnership presents will actually have a huge impact on the informal economy or the small business sector. Apart from that, I think people will take us a bit more seriously as well. I mean, and the money is not a bad thing as well.